Hi there! Welcome back to the Great Ace Attorney Chronicles. We left off having finally found Enoch Drever's workshop, though we have yet to find Enoch Drever himself. And we did come upon this room, which is, well, as you can see, rather peculiar. But, yeah, so now it's time to investigate, see if we can, see what we can find out, and see why everything's upside down, you know? But first, let's see what Herlock's thinking. Mr. Sholmes, have you found something? Ah, Mr. Naruhodo. Yes, in point of fact, something rather fascinating. What do you make of this? Oh yeah, so you noticed the, like, fucking TNT. Let's see. I've never seen anything like it before. It looks like a bundle of thick cigar. Mrs. Otto, what's the matter? That's a... Surely that's a time bomb, isn't it? What? Did you say... a time bomb? Sorry, but what is a time bomb exactly? Eh? You truly are one of a kind, Mr. Naruhodo. I mean, if even Cesato's not picked up on what it was, it's kind of strange that apparently you aren't familiar with it. I won't take that as a compliment. Ha! You don't know nothing, do you, Odo? You haven't got a clue what it is either, have you, Gina? I invite you to consult a dictionary later, Mr. Naruhodo. But this particular specimen is no time bomb, though I confess it has a very similar appearance. Well, then what is it, then? Oh. Well, thank goodness, but then what is it? I see. So that's it. Goodness. Mr. Sholmes, have you seen to the heart of the matter? There are times when I consider my lot most unfair, for I am fated never to know how it feels to flounder as you do when a puzzle presents itself. But I have learned to accept the hardships that come with being a great detective, Mr. Otto. Are you... Man, it seems like you're just looking for a reason to butter yourself up. Here we go. I feel a great deduction coming. Once again, I can draw two conclusions from the scene we see before us. The first... Wait, what? Wait, where are you going into the answer deduction? But I didn't get to examine everything else. But how could you... And the second conclusion is that the small device on the floor there is, without question, completely genuine. Please, Mr. Sholmes, you must explain everything. It would be a pleasure. After all, it is a great detective's civic duty to teach Scotland Yard the finer points of the trade. Oh no. Yeah, I had a feeling he was going to make a face like that. Inspector Gregson seems delighted with the idea anyway. Oh. You deflected the inspector's glare with such fortitude there, Mr. Sholmes. Well done. You're too kind, my dear madam. I hereby dedicate this great deduction to you. Kindly stand just there, Mr. Otto. Oh, yes. I'd be delighted. So, shall we begin? Once again, Herlock Sholmes is proud to present his logic and reasoning spectacular. Well, you know, if I had known we were going straight into a dance of deduction, I would have waited to examine everything else first. Because, I mean, there might be important evidence there that we haven't found yet. We better not, like, advance the story right away. Flipped... Well, I guess we'll just go right into it. Flipped furniture. Yeah. It's plain to see that this room is in complete disarray. The bed, the table and chairs, the lamp. Everything is upside down. almost as if every item in the room had, until recently, been happily positioned on the ceiling, before falling straight down onto the floor. Every item in the room was on the ceiling? Are you suggesting that... Indeed. The key here is gravity. Oh, sorry, what? It would appear that technology has at last succeeded in freeing us from the great pull of the Earth. Are you sure about that, Herlock? Because that seems a little, a bit out there. For the gravity in this room was reversed, and then suddenly restored to normality. Goodness. The inverted furniture clearly reveals the truth about the part gravity played in this whole business. I quite understand your skepticism, Mrs. Otto. I, too, was incredulous at first. However, my conviction in my analysis was cemented when I observed this. An anti-gravity device, almost identical to one that featured in a dream of mine only the other day, in fact. You were dreaming about anti-gravity devices? Why were you doing that? Oh. But then why does it have a clock on it? A most relevant question indeed. That is a timing device that controls when the gravity direction will switch. There was clearly a requirement for the engineer to be able to restore normal gravity automatically. And the commotion we heard earlier from the other side of the door was the moment the restoration occurred. Yes, the reason why everything in here has been turned upside down is because of the anti-gravity device. So you see, we need look no further to explain the state in which we now find this room. The direction in which gravity acts in here was reversed by Mr. Drebber, before being restored to normality in an automatic fashion sometime later by the timer device. I have witnessed precisely this scene in a dream I once had when I fell out of bed. I mean, I'm not sure if dreams are submittable as evidence for the purposes of deduction, but okay. I mean, to be honest, besides the fact that, it sounds inherently stupid and absurd on its face, it does make, it makes some logical sense, so far anyway. Now, let us consider the next conundrum. What was our engineer friend's aim? Indubitably, the greatest clue we have to explain his actions is above our heads. Yes, how is it possible that there are footprints all the way up there on the ceiling? A question whose answer will lead us neatly to the truth, my dear madam. The reason there are footprints on the ceiling is because of the nearby skylight. Of course, Drebber's aim was singular, to escape. However, there's but one way into this room. Excepting the skylight, that is. You could theoretically get through there if you, climbed up there, I guess. And the footprints had to get there somewhere. Ah. Oh no, here we go again. By inverting the gravity in here, Drebber was able to fall conveniently to the ceiling and make his escape via the otherwise inaccessible skylight, leaving those footprints behind on the way. The ceiling in here is very high, Mr. Sholmes. If the gravity reversal was sudden, wouldn't Mr. Drebber have fallen up to the ceiling rather violently? Man, I like how the camera is shifting to reflect the gravity. Falling up is both scientifically and philosophically a rather interesting concept, I feel. But the man was cornered with nowhere to run, so escape through the skylight was his only option. You may recall that I found this in the room earlier, which I believe offers a solution. Oh, the rope! Oh, maybe he tied himself up there. To reach the intended destination, what better tool than this rope? By anchoring one into the wall, the man was able to lower himself safely to the ceiling. Which explains how Mr. Drebber was able to escape this room before our arrival. He reversed the pull of gravity and fled via the skylight. And personally, I'd very much like to reverse the pull of gravity again now. Just for fun. I bet you would. Escaped via the skylight. Thus concludes Sherlock Sholmes' great deduction of this topsy-turvy puzzle. Jeez. Yeah, that's definitely quite the deduction. And like I said, it does make it, I mean, just on its face, it sounds absurd, but I can't say there's no logic involved. I feel like Gina probably wasn't paying much attention. What are you thinking, Cesato? She's completely spellbound. Yeah, she is pretty fond of him and his deductions. Mr. Sholmes, there is just one thing that troubles me. I would expect nothing less. You're destined to be troubled by just one thing for the rest of your life. Okay, jeez. That feels kind of harsh coming from you, but okay. The thing is such a thing actually possible? An anti-gravity device, I mean. I would say that with man's current scientific knowledge at the turn of the 20th century, it's no more possible than instantaneous kinesis. But you said instantaneous kinesis was a bunch of bullshit. But your whole deduction hinges on it. Ah, but my dear fellow, when you have eliminated the impossible, whatever remains must be the truth, however improbable it may seem. Hey, Iris said that. It's a marvelous line, wouldn't you agree? One of my more enduring pearls of wisdom. I had Iris come up with the exact phrasing. My original was clumsy. Yes, I have a feeling I've read it in something that Miss Cesato lent me once. Objection. Oh, hey. Actually, there is one other thing, Mr. Sholmes. Ah, the spell's broken at last. The rope you found was on the floor, wasn't it? Indeed it was, in lonely coils near the wall. But if Mr. Drebber had used it to escape in the way that you described, wouldn't it still be tied to the wall? Oh yeah, I guess that's a fair point. Mysteries inevitably unravel in the end, as I think you'll find, to ropes. And as evidence of such, you need only look at the mystery we faced in this room, now skillfully unraveled. That argument is as circular as the coils of rope. I think perhaps we might need to give Mr. Sholmes his the usual little helping hand. I'm sure with some minor corrections, the great detective's great deduction will lead us to the truth. Yes, you're right. And we must do it quickly, before Enoch Drebber gets too far away. If you're ready, then let us resume. Sherlock Sholmes' logic and reasoning spectacular. Alright, time to try and get this back on track a bit. Okay, so yeah, we're trying to see. Yeah, we've seen this. We've read this already. Yada yada. Until recently, been happily positioned on the ceiling. We're falling straight down onto the floor. Okay, why can't I not auto scroll through this? I mean, we've already read this part of the dialogue. Come on. So gravity in this room was reversed, and then suddenly restored to normality. Okay, alright, now we can keep going. To think gravity could have been reversed in this very room. I find the whole idea utterly enthralling. Only Mr. Sholmes could conceive of such an explanation. But the man himself admitted it was a scientific impossibility, so... Well, yes, you're quite right. You must completely discount the idea at once. Oh, that's unusually merciless of you, Mr. Sato. When you have eliminated the impossible, whatever remains must be the truth. The great detective himself said so, didn't he? While refusing to part with his dreams of anti-gravity devices. I mean, yes, I suppose so. Well, let's see if examining this topsy-turvy scene a little more closely reveals some proof that shows exactly what the gravity in this room was or wasn't doing. Let's see. Okay, so there's a bunch of inverted furniture, it would seem. Wait, large safe. Is there like... Should we examine this individually, or...? All the furniture in here is very conspicuously upside down, certainly. Well, yes. It does immediately put you in mind of some strange quirk of gravity, I admit. Ah, could it be that a mini whirlwind passed through here, do you think? I'm not sure that's much more plausible than Mr. Sholmes' explanation. Oh dear. Saying the first thing that comes into your head isn't the way forward here, it seems. Yeah, that's usually not a good idea. Okay, well, I guess we'll look at this large safe. Ah, look, Mrs. Otto. When everything seems to be upside down in here, this safe's conspicuously the right way up. Have you noticed? Well, yeah, that's true. Look more closely at the safe's feet. Oh, it does look like it's like padlocked down to the ground. Ah, it's a lot of very large bolts fixing it to the floor. Think before you speak. That's what you wanted to say, isn't it? I really put my foot in my mouth there. I certainly didn't say that. Huh. Okay, well, there seems to be only, like, one of two options. What if I look... Is it like, different over here? If I look in that... Okay, no. It's all the same thing, I suppose. Okay, I guess.
Take that!
It has to be that, right? Unlike every other piece of furniture in the room, this safe is not upside down. So a reversal in gravity can't be the reason for the state of this room. Mr. Naruhodo, I implore you to observe more closely. As you can see, the safe's foot is firmly bolted to the floor, saving it from any effects of gravity. Oh, so it is. But there is one thing we can learn from your misguided conclusion. A good deduction is no mean feat. Oh. Nice wordplay there, pal. Ugh. Can we at least make jokes at my expense funny? Seriously, what the fuck is it then? There's literally only two things that can be examined here. If the reversal of gravity is scientifically impossible, perhaps we can prove it didn't occur. Well, to prove a hypothesis is wrong, the easiest way is just to find an obvious exception. Let's have another good look around. Bro, I don't know what to there's like two... Oh, wait. I didn't notice that one. God damn it. Man, maybe I really do need to fucking work on my powers of observation. Jeez. Well, well. I wasn't expecting to find a pretty bunch of flowers in here, that's for sure. Well, look at that. I know. That slender little vase looks like it's about to topple at any moment. The flowers are thriving. Somehow it makes you think of the fragility of life, wouldn't you say? Wow, that's pretty deep thoughts, Mr. Naruhodo. To be honest, Mr. Naruhodo, something else about it made a rather deeper impression on me. Okay, that has to be the right thing, because, it's not upside down like everything else.
Take that!
Obviously, I mean, duh. I totally noticed that on my first glance. The upright vase clearly reveals the truth about the part gravity played in this whole business. Upon my word, Mr. Naruhodo, you've surpassed yourself by completely turning my argument on its head. Trying to impress your assistant here, perhaps? No one is trying to steal your spotlight here, Mr. Sholmes. Trust me. As you rightly say, though it appears at first glance that all the furniture in the room is upside down, this unassuming, slender vase is standing keenly to attention. And unlike the large safe, there's nothing affixing it to the floor. And it's the exception that breaks the rule. I thought it was the exception that proves the rule, is how that phrase goes, but okay. In short, much as it pains me, that gravity in this room was never inverted at all. Okay, jeez. I mean, if you're the one who said it was impossible to begin with, so, like, don't get mad at me. My deepest sympathies for your loss. Oh, poor Mr. Sholmes. But the show must go on. So, let us continue with our deductions. Now that we know this contrivance is not in fact an anti-gravity device, there remains but one other possibility. You don't say. Someone deliberately turned over every piece of furniture in here. Which might sound obvious, but leaves one mystery very much unsolved. Namely, why would anyone choose to do that? Quite. And naturally, there is an explanation. Yes. The reason why everything in here has been turned upside down is because of the anti-gravity device. Even though he doesn't actually, he already admitted it wasn't actually an anti-gravity device, but okay. He's absolutely determined that this device must have something to do with it, isn't he? I'm afraid the lure of an exciting scientific explanation is too strong. Well, there's no doubt that somebody did this. Somebody turned all this furniture over. So whoever it was must have had a reason. I mean, I'm afraid nothing at all comes to mind, though. Well, let's look around and see if the answer presents itself. Let's see. Coal-burning heater? That's a coal-burning heater, I think, isn't it? Yes, it is. But it's not just for heating, you know. You can grill on it, bake in it, boil and steam things with it. It serves all sorts of purposes. Huh. That seems like having your cake and eating it too. Not unlike a heated katatsu table with a nabe hot pot, a Mikan orange, a cat, and an elderly relative. Oh. You mean it seems too much? I suppose perhaps it does. But you realize only some of those things on your list are edible, don't you? Yeah, right, Rinosuke? You don't actually think that your relatives are edible, right? We've already established that gravity wasn't actually reversed in here, haven't we? In other words, this isn't an anti-gravity device at all. Which makes me very curious to know exactly what sort of device it is. But I think for now, it's clear that we're looking for an answer elsewhere. Safe combination, you say? Look! There's something written on the underside of this armchair. Oh, yes. Safe 432582. Safe? As in safe and secure. As in secure lockable box, I think. Admittedly more likely. Well, there is a large safe bolted to the floor on the other side of the room, so yes. So, you mean that this number would let us open it? I wonder why it's written here, though. I mean, why? Yeah, because, like, that seems kind of conspicuous. I mean, obviously, you're not going to be looking at the underside of a chair that often, but, like, why would you want to, like, write it down in the first place? It's only 6 numbers. You're telling me you can't remember 6 numbers? By the way, okay, I'm going to present this just because I'm curious what what dialogue might happen if I pick the obviously wrong answer.
Take that!
So let's give it a go. This unusual coal-burning heater certainly stands out if you ask me. And I believe it's not just for heating, but also serves many other purposes. One of which, it may surprise you to learn, is controlling gravity in the room in which it's installed. In other words, it would automatically flip a fried egg. But I make a point of frying eggs on one side only. It's quite the proper way. Ugh. He really scrambled that idea. Yeah, I guess so. Now we've shown it was nothing to do with gravity, we know somebody must have done this to the furniture. But who and why? Well, we at least need to resolve one of them here. Yeah, resolve, because that's the name of the game, literally.
Take that!
But anyway, yeah, let's go with the obviously correct answer, the safe combination. Yes, the reason why everything in here has been turned upside down is because of the safe combination. Precisely. I believe, Mr. Naruhodo, that you had a very similar experience once, did you not? Yes. Last year, when I bought a lottery ticket, I noted the ticket number down on the inside cover of a book, just in case. Ah, that's it. For people who are forgetful souls at heart, and always make a written note of important information. I mean, I guess, but I feel like 6 numbers is not that hard to remember. Plus, you know, I mean, if someone else were to look upon that underside of that chair, suddenly they'd know the combination to your safe. Well, just keeping the ticket safe itself would be more sensible, I think. And what, pray, happened next, Mr. Naruhodo? When the day of the draw came round, I'd forgotten which book I'd written the number in, and had to turn my room upside down to find it. Aha! That's it! For people are forgetful souls at heart, and always forget where they've noted things down. I mean, that's fair enough. I can relate to that. Not if you always note things in the same place. Well, yeah, that's also fair. I actually won the second prize, you know. But I couldn't remember which magazine I'd slipped the ticket into, so I had to Oh, poor Ryunosuke got cut off. Thank you, Mr. Naruhodo, but I believe I proved my point now. Which is that a very similar scenario has clearly unfolded in this room. Finding himself requiring access to the safe, the occupant of this room needed a combination code. You remember that he'd written it on the underside of a piece of furniture, but had forgot which one. Leading to the state in which we now find the room. Yes, Mr. Trevor overturned all the furniture in here. In a desperate hurry to locate the combination code that would unlock the safe. I mean, I guess, but I don't know, man. You had to be pretty forgetful to not only forget the number to your safe, but also forget where you wrote down the number to the safe in the first place. And I thought Enoch, I got the impression he was supposed to be like some kind of smart guy, not a big dum-dum who literally had to turn over like every piece of furniture in his room. Also, man, did the music just like pick up? Because like, I feel like it picked up a little bit. Now, let us consider the next conundrum. What was our engineer friend's aim? Oh wait, yeah, we've already read this part. Indubitably, yep, he was the footprints, which are indeed quite curious. A question whose answer will lead to the truth. The reason there are footprints on the ceiling is because of the nearby skylight. Well, yeah. Well, if a change in the direction of gravity can't explain it, then how did those footprints get there? Yes, I feel as though that particular mystery has just become even harder to solve. I can't think of any other way to explain it at all. Oh, life was so much simpler in those halcyon days when gravity could be reversed. It was minutes ago. And those halcyon days never existed in the first place. Well, I suppose we must simply put our faith in Mr. Sholmes and observe the area in more detail. Yeah, I don't want to know where that might lead us. Putting our faith in Mr. Sholmes is what gets us into these situations in the first place. Yeah, kind of. But I don't know, let's see. So the footprints, there's the skylight. It looks like these are the only windows in the room. In other words, if you want to escape without using the door, those skylights would be the only way. Well, yes, that's true, but even so. And right next to the only escape route, we notice some telltale footprints. Nevertheless, as we've said many times now, gravity can't explain how they got there. But powerful springs in the soles of the man's shoes could. Have you been having strange dreams as well, like Mr. Sholmes? I don't know, maybe he's fucking Inspector Gadget and he's got his go-go gadget shoes and he fucking jumped up. Also, that balloon is green, and I'm pretty sure that wasn't the only green balloon we've seen recently, has it? This is a gas balloon, isn't it? It's tiny, but it does seem to be a real balloon. Yes, I think you're right. I think it's helium that's keeping it up. A green gas balloon. Why does that seem to ring a bell with me? If you can see, there are footprints on this balloon too, look. Oh yes. Surely that's a clue, isn't it? Though what it tells us, I'm not sure. Yeah, so there's footprints and then a shoe. A shoe on a balloon. It's hard to believe, but there's a shoe up there, look! Oh, yes. And there are more footprints on this little balloon, too. Perhaps the shoe was thrown up there and became lodged, do you think? Well, if so, then, judging from the number of footprints, it must have been thrown up several times. Why would anyone be throwing shoes up at the ceiling, though? Oh dear. That's beyond me, I'm afraid. Well, that shoe does seem pretty, interesting, so let's go around throwing it. Let's throw it out there and see what Mr. Sholmes has to say. Snap, snap. The reason there are footprints on the ceiling is because of the nearby shoe. And, on a closer inspection, there are clearly footprints all over the balloon as well. In other words, the aim was never the skylight at all, but the balloon. But for what purpose? A green balloon. It seems somewhat familiar data. Yeah, it kind of does, doesn't it? It was a piece of a green balloon's envelope that Mr. Naruhodo and Iris found at the scene. And inside the green balloon that Master Gotts claims he saw above the stage when the incident occurred was a second birdcage, the crux of the whole instantaneous kinesis deception. You mean to say, if we assume the balloon in here is a model of the one used on the day, there's a strong possibility something may be concealed inside it. Something our absconder was desperate to retrieve before making a hasty getaway. But the balloon's out of reach. Hence why he resorted to a projectile. Namely, the shoe. Most probably, Mr. Drebber intended to tear a hole in the envelope by assailing it with the shoe. Yeah, giving it the old, the deadly 3-shoe beating. However, his efforts were thwarted when the shoe itself became a prisoner of those lofty heights. Okay, that's kind of a funny visual. Just imagine him, like, throwing a shoe at a balloon. No, how did it get stuck? How did it hit the skylight area if it also hit the balloon? Oh dear. We desperately need to examine that balloon. If only there was some way we could see inside. You may recall that I found this in the room earlier, which I believe offers a solution. Oh, the rope! To reach the intended destination, what better tool than this rope? Mr. Sholmes has managed to bring the deduction back to the rope. Alright, I have to admit, that was clever. Man, it's like he's been pulling the strings all along, and we're just his puppets. So, we just throw the rope up to the balloon, and then pull it down to us on the ground. Which is much easier said than done, I feel. Yeah, you would think. And could take us a very long time as well. True. Perhaps we need a more surefire method. In fact, we already have one, of course, don't we? To reach the intended destination... Oh yeah, we have the crossbow, don't we?
Take that!
To reach the intended destination, what better tool than this crossbow? That was found at the scene, in fact. And in all likelihood, belongs to Mr. Drebber. If the man had only brought it away with him that day, he could have avoided losing a shoe at such a critical time as this. I mean, I think there's more important things than the shoe, but fair enough. Again, why did he leave it at the fucking fairgrounds in the first place? Like, was he really in such a hurry that he couldn't just take it with him? It's a bit strange, but whatever. Your curiosity is deeply stirred, no doubt, my dear fellows. What is it that Enoch Drebber has hidden inside that balloon? Bam! Oh. Ah! What the? It's a big helmet. A waxwork helmet, in fact. Indeed it is. A waxwork head inside a metal mask. And who do we know, or what do we know, was missing their head that was also a waxwork? Curious indeed. A mask that is shut tight and fastened with a strong and quite impenetrable lock. So we can't see the face inside, that means. Just a moment. This is the head of a waxwork model? Does that mean... Oh, goodness! I see you've joined the dots, Mr. Zato. Excellent. Ah, of course! A headless waxwork model! The case of the abducted Madame Tuspel's model that you'd largely solved, it was only the head of the killer that was still missing. Indeed it was. But I believe Madame Tuspel's will now have to settle her sizable account with me. This, as you have now surmised, is the head of the infamous professor. Which also means that not only was Enoch responsible for the waxwork, the instantaneous kinesis fraud, he also apparently was the one who stole the professor. Wait, did we, well, have we already put that, deduced that earlier? I can't remember. It's been a bit. Yes, but why is it here? This conclusively confirms my suspicions. The man responsible for stealing the professor from Madame Tuspel's and returning it, sans tête, earlier today, was none other than Enoch Drebber. This is incredible. Professor Hairbane's case and the waxwork abduction are They're inextricably linked by Enoch Drebber's workshop. The waxwork head has been entered into the court record. Huh. Well, I guess that, concludes the deduction, sort of. Well, it appears our logical pleasure cruise has come to an end, my dear fellows. All that remains is, yes, to speak with the architect of this adventure. The architect? You mean Mr. Drebber? As it seems quite impossible that he escaped via one of the skylights, obviously, the man must still be here in the room. What? And his location should be abundantly clear. If you simply reflect on the journey we've made together during the seduction. Enoch Drebber is right here, somewhere in this room. So, Mr. Naruhodo, will you do the honors? Yes, of course. Mr. Drebber's hiding place must be the... Obviously, he's hiding in the drawer, or the cooker, or whatever. He's hiding in the cupboard! Ugh. Hiding... Oh, I know, well... I feel like the wardrobe would be a more fitting hiding place, for Ryunosuke, you know, considering what he's been through. If you need to hide, there's no better place than a wardrobe. I stand firmly by that. Ah, yes. You had some experience of that yourself a year ago, didn't you? We'll find him in there. Mark my words. He'll be curled up in a ball, trembling and hungry. In fact, my own hand is trembling just thinking about making the discovery. Never mind, Mr. Naruhodo. He could be hiding somewhere else, you know. He could be, but also, he's definitely hiding in the wardrobe. For sure. Oh. I guess that didn't work out, huh? Alright, Mr. Drebber, come out! Oh. Not there, Mr. Naruhodo. But, I don't understand. You could always climb inside yourself. Please, don't mind us. Do go ahead. I know how fond you are of wardrobes. I'll think of something else, thank you very much. Okay, fine, so he wasn't in the wardrobe. So sue me. Where could he be hiding? I'm sure that we've already come across a clue that reveals the answer, you know. Well, yes. It was when we deduced why all the furniture in here was upside down, wasn't it? That gave us the answer, I'm sure. We're very close now, Mr. Naruhodo. I can almost taste it. Cupboard. This looks to be a cupboard for cups and saucers and the like. Ah, an ingenious hiding place. Oh, is it? Well, when you say cupboard, you immediately think of cups and saucers, don't you? And the clever engineer knows that. So he knows you never look for him in there, because he's not crockery. Though, sadly, it does seem to be full of only crockery. Oh well. I guess he must be in the large, very obvious safe. Look at all that mess in front of the safe. Yes, plans and accounting ledgers. Almost as if somebody was in a hurry to empty the contents of the safe, in fact. Yeah, I wonder why. It's fucking... Obviously, it's gotta be the large safe. Totally, right? Before we gained access to this back room, we heard noises from in here. Yeah, God, I thought that was coming from outside, but no, it's just... It's in-game. Which tells us that the engineer was still in the building at that point in time. He was in fact searching for the combination to his safe. And pressed for time, made no attempt to right the furniture that he overturned in the process. From which we can deduce that his search for the combination happened very recently indeed. In summary, Mr. Enoch Drebber, you're in that fucking safe. is, at this very moment, inside the safe. Thus concludes Sherlock Sholmes' great deduction of this topsy-turvy puzzle. Indeed. Boy, this episode's going to be an extra long one, but I didn't want to leave the deduction unfinished, you know, or half complete. Also, I hope I'm going to get a chance to investigate the rest of the room, because, I don't know, there might be other evidence in here, man. So, Mr. Naruhodo, I think it's perhaps time we ended this game of hide-and-seek, don't you? Okay, well, that's all well and good, Mr. Sherlock, Mr. Herlock, Mr. Durlock, Mr. my good friend Sholmes. But we're going to save it for the next episode because, well, like I said, this episode's pretty long because my dance of deduction took a little while. But hey, it's okay. It's not the end of the world. We've had a lot of relatively moderate length episodes, so a long one here and there is not going to be the end of the world. But yeah, next time we will finally, hopefully, confront Enoch Drebber, this guy we've been looking for like a while now, and see what he is all about, because apparently he's the man of the hour, you know. But until then, though, I'll see you around.